Good evening, football fans of the beautiful game. Welcome to the weekend wrap-up. This is episode 52. 52. That's a year of that's a year's worth of episodes. I just realized. I'm CulturedLeftFoot, your host. Let's dive into this week's football. Joining us today, as you can see on stream, we have three lovely guests tonight. To my bottom left, we have Mr. HoffSpur. Hoff, how you doing?
Great. How are you?
Doing good. I wonder if we could do the whole show in sign language. That'd be possible.
Ooh.
You guys know sign language?
I'd have to study.
Yeah.
I don't know sign language. I'll just say this. Sign language was brought up in pop culture this week. Leave it at that. Okay. I won't say any more. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. Also, to Hoff's right, we have Mr. CulturedLeftFoot. Cultured, how you doing?
Good work, Hoff. Great work.
Thank you. Well, I went to my right.
Yeah.
Oh, to your right.
Hello, I'm good.
To the right of Hoff. To the right of Hoff. There we go.
There we go.
I'm good. Thank you. I'm good.
I like the haircut, Cultured. Looks nice.
Thank you. It's
Nice.
new.
Yeah. You know, haircuts are always... Do you have a certain person you go to every time for a haircut?
Yeah, and do you know what? I went to someone different, didn't like it, so then I went back to my other person and got it redone. So I paid twice.
Yeah, that's...
It sucks.
Okay, so I'll bring this back to football real quick. I feel like there's like a new manager bounce type of thing with haircuts as well. When you go to a new haircut person or a new barber, like they do a really good job because they want to impress you. And then you go back to them and I feel like they do a worse job.
This person didn't. This person got one chance and I was out. I was like, nope, not going back there.
Sacked.
Well, they
Yeah.
did well.
It was
Or
like the Nathan Jones, if you want to put it to real life football.
Your other barber did well to fix
Yes.
the mess. It's like the Sean Dyke of haircuts, maybe.
Yeah.
Something like that. And as always, we have Mr. Milothe1st. Milo, how you doing?
Good evening. Not too bad. Not too bad.
Okay. Right. Good. Alrighty, guys. Well, there's only one... Oh, and by the way, guys, I've had a... for the viewer watching, it's been a rough week for me. You know, busy. Sleep bad, everything. So at the end of the show, I'll be eating this kiwi in its entirety for science.
What science? Can I ask? What science?
It's supposed to be good for you. I will be eating the entire kiwi, skin and all. I don't know about this
What?
part. Skin and all.
Skin and all?
That's the whole thing in its entirety. I will be eating the entire kiwi at the
He
end
pours
of the
milk
show.
before cereal. What do you expect?
Yeah, what a psycho.
So
You know-
if you die on stream, it was not good science then.
Yeah.
Okay, this is the ballpark science. I'll give you the ballpark science. The ballpark science is there is insoluble and soluble fiber in foods.
Yep.
So the skin has really good insoluble fiber, and it's supposed to help clean your intestines. It's like a squeegee or something. That's the science. And you know me, I don't know what I do, but I just do weird stuff. Anyways,
I wonder if will it clean out your intestines more or less than the hot chip challenge? So I imagine that cleared you out in a different way.
yeah, that
So-
was That was actually painful. That was actually painful. This will
looked
probably be gross. I mean, it's not that.
It will
it's
be.
not-
Yeah.
I've had this kiwi for a long time. I've been meaning to do this for a long time, actually. At least 2 weeks. So it's quite ripe. Be nice and juicy. Hopefully it's not
Ooh, yeah.
bad. Anyways, guys, welcome to the stream. Let's get into our football news of the week. The big news, in my opinion, and as you can tell by the title, is VAR. The 3 letters, infamous 3 letters. Bittersweet, double-edged sword, maybe. Sometimes you get the rub of the green. Sometimes you get bent over by it. Let's talk about it. Let's start with the big obvious one. The big one in the title race involved. We had Arsenal versus Brentford on Saturday. Brentford, I thought, played really well. Actually, they had a couple clear chances. I only saw the highlights. Hit the bar, I think, a couple times and stuff. But then there was this one situation, and when I was watching the extended highlights, I literally watched the replay in like 0.25 speed to see it myself, and I thought it was offside personally. But then I was like, yeah, there must be some angle that I'm not seeing, and okay, yeah, easy enough. But that was called onside. No harm, no foul. I'm kind of, pulling the slingshot back here. Feels like cranking the trebuchet for Milo right now, I feel. Or I just kind of say, Milo, what are your general thoughts about that Arsenal game and that VAR decision?
General thoughts, I mean, I watched the game later on. So I watched it in its entirety, but later because I was involved in a endurance race. So I actually thought we were the stronger team. I thought Brentford did play very well, as you'd expect. Like, if you look through their results this season, which I did after the game, I know that we beat them 3-0 away from home early in the season, and that was somewhat of a revenge game because of the whole just a stroll in the park with your mates tweet or whatever that Tony did the year before. Yeah. I don't know if you remember that, but anyway, so that game seemed to be like, and the Arsenal team really off the bat this season went quite, they were going for it, right? So they've had a good first half of the season. I expected this game to be tough. Brentford, like I say, they've had some really good results. Their position in the table is absolutely fine for what they're looking to do. The question is, can they become a team that challenges into that top 8, top 6, Europa League places? That's got to be their target, right? Whether or not they'll do that or not is remains to be seen. Yeah, other than that, it was a tough game. I thought I was really pleased Trossard got a goal. That's a positive for Arsenal. I thought we created plenty. It was just one of those days. Obviously, the huge talking point is their equalizer. It was offside. I mean, like, we talk about consistency week in, week out, and we know that it's not always going to go your way. And I just, it might disappoint some people, but I'm not going to throw my toys out the pram. That's the phrase I'm looking for. What I am going to say is this: Lee Mason. Okay, I'm not into like conspiracies or any of that stuff. No, yeah, but there's a small but. What we know is, in football, there has been a history of match fixing and things, right? I'm not saying he is. I'm just saying that in football, at times, people have been found guilty of match fixing. People have been found guilty of all kinds of things. So, for me, when you've got a guy that makes multiple mistakes, okay, that have larger implications, if I do it at work, there will be a thorough investigation into what I've done, right? And not just what I did in that scenario, what I've done in other similar scenarios. And, you'd have a real good look, and you wouldn't put him in charge of that type of thing again until that investigation is through. So I think in order for this, I'm not saying that this will happen. This is what I would like to see, is I would like to see a much more rigorous process for referees to keep their position to be a VAR official, because VAR has to stay, right? I think we all agree in some respect it is for the good of the game to make sure we get the correct decisions, but we're still getting the incorrect decisions. That's unacceptable. And when it's Lee Mason saying, well, I forgot to draw the line. I'm sorry, but everything you do in your job at work, that's his job, right? That's not his hobby. It's not his hobby where he might forget to do something. This is his fucking job. So, excuse me, I'm going to get a little passionate about it, right?
Yeah, good.
But this is his job. So, there is a procedure for everything. He knows the fucking procedure, okay? It's unacceptable to miss a step in the procedure. And it's a step where you draw a line. Like, like it's the step for the process. It's unforgivable. Now, to me, I instantly would be, if I was his boss, I would be saying, well, what have you got invested in this? Why wouldn't you have followed the mandatory steps to come to the right conclusion in this case? It's not even like it was that close. If you watch it, it ain't even one of these ones where it's a fingertip or a toenail. It's not that fucking close. Like it's inexplicable that he didn't do that step. Forget the fact that it wasn't called offside. Forget that. The only step that's inexplicable and unforgivable for me is that he didn't do probably the biggest step of his job at that time. And so when refs do stuff like this, my notes say there should be a public execution. I mean, investigation. But no, look, it's really frustrating, guys. It really is, because that could be huge, right? It could be huge. And again, like I acknowledge that we are in a title race. We are. We're halfway through the season. We're leading the league. We're in a title race. That much is 100% true. And the only thing I will say about this game is there are, again, I've said it before, 18 months, 2 seasons ago, Arsenal would have lost this game. We would have lost this game. We would have lost our heads. Something would have happened. We would have conceded another set-piece goal. We got a point. And in a tough game, a point can be huge. 1 point would have tied us with Tottenham last year, and we might have got top 4 on goal difference. So 1 point can be absolutely mega. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I have to say, okay, we got a point. It's a tough game. We go on to Wednesday. We play City in what is now the biggest game of the season. It probably would have been anyway. So, and there's still plenty of football to play, and teams have to play Brentford, and they'll go through the same thing. And I just have to hope that somewhere down the line, we get the rub of the VAR green to make up for that whole swings and roundabouts. That's where I'm at.
No, very fair take. Yeah, the whole idea of the conspiracy of match fixing. I think if you're gonna match fix, you're not gonna do it like that, though. Like this is like so blatant that
How did Bruce Grobbelaar do it, Culture? Can you remember?
He got paid, didn't he? And to concede certain goals in certain games, and I think as a player, but it was. None of them were as obvious as what that VAR mistake was.
It's not like deliberate. He wasn't like, oh
yeah, he wasn't like just walking off to the side of the goal and then leaving an empty net sort of thing. He was still attempting to dive and attempting to do it.
But it's still, when you look back, it's like,
now you look back and you know about it, you're like, oh yeah, that's, yeah. But yeah, it's an interesting one.
It's funny that they were playing Ivan Toney. I didn't realize that. He's a big gambling man.
He is, yeah.
Just atheist.
How much did him and Lee Mason have on that?
Yeah. My thing with VAR is that it's one of those technologies, right, that no one will ever kick up the equivalent, and I'm not saying about what Milo's rant, I mean generally, this is put VAR under the spotlight, which is why we're talking about it. When it gets a really crucial decision right, it will never get this much praise. But when it gets something this wrong, it's like, oh my God. And it's because it was brought in to say, this is going to make all the correct decisions. We're going to get more percentage correct decisions, I think is how the Premier League sold it when it first came in. And it's sort of like, that's fine. But 1, it's slowing down the game, which no one likes. And 2, you're getting these horrendous decisions being called. And this isn't the first one, is it? It's happened in another, I think it was it a Spurs game where they misdrew the line on a defender last season, I think. I'm trying to remember who it was, but it's not the first time this has happened where they've drawn the line in the wrong place for an offside call. And they had the Liverpool again this season where they didn't have the camera angle, so they couldn't see the Wolves player at the pit. It's like
Arsenal player.
Oh my God, if you're doing it.
Yeah, there we go. Arsenal got away with one there.
Yeah,
it's even. We're even. No, we're not.
My big concern is that it's still only done at one place, right? So all the 3 o'clock UK time kickoffs for me, 10 o'clock in the evening. I don't know what they are for you. Anything that has to go to VAR has to go to Stockley Park and is looked by one team of VAR referees. So if you have a game that has a VAR incident at a similar time, are they going to rush? Like maybe Lee Mason was rushing a decision because he had another referee going, "Oh, we need to check that. We need to check something else in this other game. We need to know what's going on." I'm pretty sure that's how it works, right? It's not an individual VAR referee for every game.
I thought each match had one.
They got a little. They have a little bus in the back.
A VAR center.
I thought it went to the VAR center. No,
they've got. It's like a little group of fourth or fifth officials, whatever, video assistant referees in like a little bus. There's talk about Stockley Park happening. In the NBA, that's how they do it. There's like one base where all of the calls throughout the day are reviewed.
Okay.
I mean, how do we like? It's another job for the lazy bastard fourth official. He does nothing.
Yeah.
All game. Okay. He does nothing. Have him in the background, confer with the VAR team. Have you done step 1? Have you done step 2? Have you done step 3? Let me have a look at it. Now I'm going to call the ref. Now I'm going to tell him what it is. It's simple. Why am I having to think of this? Right? Well, this isn't my job. Why am I having to come up with these ideas?
My thing with the fourth official is, why do they pause the game to make the on-pitch referee go and look at a screen? Why can't the fourth official just look at that screen and be like, "That's a penalty, just call it back"?
Because he's a ref. Like he's a qualified ref.
Ref.
Bizarre.
Yeah, it's just.
It may not be the exact reason, but I feel like it's the same reason that they don't overturn yellows, but they'll overturn reds, or not over. They'll lessen like a red punishment because they don't want to undermine the on-field official's authority. At least that's I don't know if they publicly said that. That's just the sentiment that I get. Like, you don't want to undermine the guy that's in charge of the match. But if he gets it wrong,
that happened all the time, right? When VAR first came in, there was it was always like, I think you need to check the monitor, and then the ref would go and check the monitor, and you just knew that decision was going to be overturned because they were like, "Oh, I don't want to say that VAR's wrong," and now it's gone the other way, right? They don't want to undermine the referee, so they're like, "Oh no, we've reviewed it, and nothing wrong." Like,
Tim in chat has a point though. He says the fourth official gets a lot of shit. I mean, they do from the managers, but you know what? Boo-hoo.
Yeah,
you got the best seat. You got the best seats in the house, man.
In Italy, they implemented the semi-automated offside system like right away. I'm confused as to why the Premier League takes so long in implementing these types of changes. It seems
because
like
it's going to cost people money, match fixing money.
Guess so. I don't know. I mean, it just boggles my mind that the Premier League is not at the forefront of technology and whatever No, maybe they want other leagues to be the dummies before they mess with
they have enough money clearly to make it. They could spend a fortune on it. It wouldn't even put a dent in the Premier League. Like it's unforgivable that we even have to talk about it.
There was one in the Brighton game as well.
There was, yeah.
It was a weird day, yeah.
I saw that ref drew the wrong line. He drew the line, but he drew it incorrectly, and they removed him. He was supposed to be the VAR official in Wednesday's match, but they removed him from that because apparently that's egregious, but not drawing the line at all is oops.
Yeah, I was really confused watching it. Usually they pop up the little red or green line and the blue line, and you see if it's onside or offside, and they didn't do it. But I mean, the angle that you were looking at it from my perspective, and this is like from a I thought it was offside, but always with when you're looking at it from a camera angle, you assume that there's like an element that you can't really tell, or something. And
you do know why we're angry, Mordechai, and you would be exactly the same if it was Liverpool. Like exactly the same.
Yeah.
I don't understand. And in regards to your angle, I don't understand, because most of the stadiums are architecturally, we can say they're not exactly the same, but they're similar enough. Why can't they have a track and a camera tracks like with the linesman, or not with the linesman, but maybe like with the last defender? Then you have a straight on line I don't understand why they have to do like,
It'll-
oh, this is a
It'll
43
block someone's
degree
view.
angle.
Someone will
if
kick up
it's
a fuss.
hanging, I don't. Yeah, okay.
Maybe you didn't watch the game more to try, but I mean, Arsenal had 7 shots on target, 23 shots in total, and Brentford had 2. So it's not like we were, so lucky to get a draw. Relax.
Brentford were pretty good. I mean, okay, the chances I saw in the highlights, it seemed like Brentford had the clearer chances, but that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
You didn't watch the whole game though, did you? So
no, I saw the chances.
You don't always
the goal chances.
I don't think the argument stands to say that Arsenal got bailed out by the referee. I'd say it was completely the opposite.
Yeah, I think Brentford got bailed out by the ref.
Yeah.
Clearly.
That's why we're talking about it.
I don't know. It sounds like you guys watched the highlights, but I mean, if you watch the full game,
I saw the chances. I'm sure Arsenal had the possession and all.
Possession and the most chances on net. Yeah, Brentford had 2, one of which.
Yeah, but like a Zinchenko shot from the 25 meters out is considered a shot. Anyways, I don't want.
Sure.
I don't want to. Go in. But also, it happened in we had a dodgy decision in the Chelsea game as well. I don't know if you guys saw that. Chelsea drew 1-1, and there was was it West Ham?
Souček.
There was a handball in the dying minutes, and it was called. He was bracing his fall. Bracing his fall around, and Chelsea fans. I did a little research on what Chelsea fans were talking about that, and they were kind of upset that Potter didn't make a bigger deal out of it. Potter was like, it was, it happens, blah, blah, blah. He wasn't upset about it. He didn't try to blame the result on that one single decision, which I thought was kind of interesting. I don't know if you guys saw that one as well. And that rule is just a little confusing.
That's a penalty all day long. That's a penalty all day long. So I mean, Graham Potter not moaning about it. That I don't care about that. That's who he is. He's that sort of manager. Like I can't really remember him moaning about decisions at Brighton when he was at Brighton. But I don't know how that has gone to VAR and not been called a penalty. A shot on target where he's moved his arm, even if he's bracing his fall, he's moved his arm to get in the way of the ball, and it wasn't given as a penalty. It is a stonewaller, as they say.
The refs group or whatever it's called, they haven't apologized for that one. They stand by that decision. They personally called Brighton and Arsenal. I would love to have been the person that answered the phone at Arsenal when they called to say what.
They called Arsenal, really?
They called Arsenal and they called Brighton to tell them basically to face that it was human error. So Lee Mason made a mistake, should have done this, and and that, I mean, that's good. Taking accountability is good.
Yeah.
Like if you do something fucking wrong, you should take accountability for it. Like simple as that. So I think that's a good step. However, it doesn't fucking help us. So I would have liked to have answered the phone just to be like, well, thanks a fucking lot, you twats.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I don't know is there any retrospective action you can really take on this type of thing? There really isn't.
No, and like I said in my rant to end it, all we can do is hope that somewhere down the line we get the rub of the green when it comes to a VAR decision. That's all you can do, is you hope that it swings and roundabouts, right?
Yeah,
that's all you can do. And that is what
you were fortunate against Liverpool. You did get a bit fortunate that the cameras weren't watching Saka.
But against United as well, they also apologised to us for the Martinelli goal being ruled out incorrectly. Remember, at Old Trafford, that could have changed that game. That would have been a
They said that VAR should not have stepped in at that point.
Yeah, I'm just saying that you just hope that it swings and roundabouts. There's always another case you can bring up, but I mean, in the context of this weekend, that's not drawing the lines. Forget everything else. Forget everything else. All of it. Forget the result. Forget the implications. Just focus on Lee Mason and what cunt he is.
Yeah. I mean,
was he one of the ones that retired last year?
Yeah, so I think a number of referees have retired to become VAR refs, right?
Oh, okay.
Oh, I see.
So they retired from the on-pitch refereeing and went to VAR.
A lot of language from me already, and I apologize. You know what? If you're a young viewer, don't do drugs.
There you go. He's redeemed himself. He's redeemed himself.
There you go.
That's him, by the way, chat.
So going back with hindsight, would you say you don't want VAR? Like, knowing what you know now, let's say we've had a 4 or 5 year trial, and then a big research thing was done that simply asked every football fan of a Premier League football team, wherever they are in the world, do you want VAR, yes or no? And that was your only option, yes or no.
Yes.
Yeah. Cart?
Yeah. Still, I'm still with VAR. Yeah.
Okay. So follow-up question: do you think it was rushed for implementation across all of world football, not just the Premier League?
Nah.
I don't, but I feel like when it was brought in, it should have been far better implemented. So all the behind-the-scenes work should have been done already to make sure that this kind of stuff cannot happen.
Yeah, this is just like, I remember when it was first implemented, there was like a cup match United had, and it was the first time they drew the lines. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah, and it was a Juan Mata, I think, offside, and they drew these lines like going up to like the bathroom or something, you know, like it was just it was like this weird squiggly line, and like, you know, they've come a long way from that, so we'll be doing all right. I do think that it will be interesting how, as technology you know, speeds up and develops, how it's implemented in football. I do wonder how long it's going to take for certain decisions to be fully automated. You know, right now they're semi-automated, right? Why can't we have a, you know, why can't we have... Can you imagine the ref sitting where the fourth official sits, reffing the game? Do you think that could ever be possible?
No.
No?
No.
That'd be pretty neat.
Get to that point, then don't have a ref.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There wouldn't be an on-field ref. It would just be him, like, with a laser pointer pointing to where the kick needs to be taken from. You know, it'd be like a big beam that goes on, like, foul right there, free kick, red, and they could change the color of the spot. You know.
No, I don't see that happening.
No, but we've talked about it early this season, I think, and the implications of, you know, the technology and what it does. I'm playing around with the kiwi that I'm gonna eat later, and I just cracked it open on accident. Okay, I'm just gonna put this down. It's ripe. Basically, the implications that it has on a grassroots level, right? The idea that to take any power, because youth games sometimes they just have 2 refs, two people that call, you know, offsides on each side of the field, kind of diagonally, and that's it. The more technology takes over at the top level, the less incentive there is, you know, like Howard Webb reffing the World Cup final, right? 2010 or whatever, right? That is the pinnacle of being a ref, right? If you somehow take that away, you're going to see a huge dip in reffing performance and incentive to be a ref. So I do think that there is the pushback to technology is this idea. I think that's the only idea, other than cost, right? It'll cost a lot. Other than that, I think there is a incentive to give power to the on-field ref as much as possible, because that is how, you know, I'm sure Howard Webb didn't begin in the Premier League, right? He wasn't just hired and trained as a Premier League ref. He started somewhere and worked his way up. I don't know if you guys ever, you know, it's when we're watching the Premier League and the highest level, etc. You don't really think about it. I guess you just want the right decision. But how do you think that plays into maybe the FA's mind, and why maybe pushing technology to it, you know, to its limit is not happening in the Premier League? Do you think that plays any role in that? I don't know if any of you guys have refed before.
I think that the refs in the lower leagues, you know, they're working their way up, trying to be better and trying to get to the top level, just the same as the players are. And that's, you know, like I think for them, it's that gray area, right? So I'm not saying that a team in the championship doesn't deserve to have VAR and make sure they get the correct decision. I want that to be pretty clear. Like, I'm not saying that, but, you know, to implement it cost-wise, I guess, throughout the entire, you know, how far do you go? Like, do you go to non-league? Do you go to school football? Like, I don't, you know what I mean? It's kind of like, I think it's acknowledged that at the highest level, you need to make sure that the decisions are the right ones 100%. And
right.
I think implementing it properly is more important than anything else, like, for me.
Right. I think it would be very interesting, Cart, for your question on technology. In a hypothetical world, if the Super League had happened, they would have had their own refereeing committee. And there wouldn't have been relegation, which means they could have tried to implement any sort of technology they wanted, because those teams that were in the Super League would have always been there and would have been set up for that technology. And I'm dead against the Super League. We've discussed that. But in terms of technology, that's the only way you can do it. So, for example, the MLS is probably a good place to try different technologies, because there isn't a relegation. Teams don't have to implement it and get rid of it if they go down, or try and pay the cost to implement it when they come up. But I remember when VAR came in, Milo, I was living in the UK when it came in, and there was that whole big thing of, well, yeah, how far down does it go? Why is it only the Premier League? Why is it some championship teams? Why is it only in the quarterfinals onwards of the FA Cup? It's sort of, it was so weird to have that question. And I think it's always going to be a tough one. But I'm like Milo, I think you need to focus on getting it right before trying to filter it down anywhere else.
It's got to be an infrastructure thing at a lot of grounds and stuff like that, which is understandable, I think, right? Like it's known that if you get to the Premier League, you're going to get a financial boost. You're going to get VAR. You're going to get, you know what I mean? Like, those teams that are fighting for that chance are also fighting for a chance to compete at the highest level, and then the stakes are far higher. You know?
Yeah. Mordecai is saying NFL refs get paid $205,000 a year, whereas Premier League refs get paid $70K a year.
Aren't NFL refs only part-time as well? Like, during the season, they aren't. Well, yeah. I mean, they're not going off to Champions League NFL games. Like, they're just doing NFL games throughout their season, which also isn't the whole year, but they're like, because there's like lawyers, and I don't know if there's doctors. I know for a fact there's lawyers that are NFL referees, so they have like,
okay, I mean, don't feel too bad for them. So Premier League refs, depending on their experience level, will make from 70 to 200 grand a year. Okay, that's like with good wages. They also get a match fee in addition to their salary, on top of their salary. So for every game they do, assistant refs get a certain amount, VAR refs get a certain amount, and the referee gets the most. The on-field ref gets the most. The linesman get it. So basically like an appearance fee. They do just fine. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah.
And the good ones are
paid.
Yeah,
all
the
expenses
good ones
paid,
doing,
food, travel, everything. Yeah.
They're doing the good refs, the better refs, higher quality, whatever you want to say, are doing Champions League games, European qualifiers. So they're getting, I'm sure they're not doing that out of charity. They're getting paid for that as well. So
how much does Lee Mason get paid?
They're also too much, but they're also well aware. If I go apply for a job tomorrow, I look at the salary. I know what I'm gonna get into. Like, why are we worried about that? Like, why? Do you know what I mean? Like, they know what they're getting into.
Yeah.
It's
interesting that, you know, hot topic at least a couple weeks ago was ChatGPT and AI. Is refereeing going to be a, you know, is that going to be a, you know, a victim of the jobs that AI is going to take over? Do you think it's possible?
I think you'll always have a human presence for something like that. Personally, I think there will always be.
I agree.
Yeah.
But using AI to help is But again, you got to use it. Like, and you've got to go look at it.
Yeah, this one is crazy. Yeah, that
or
one.
Have the fourth official, or again, like for me, have the fourth official review these things. If that's the issue, you don't want the ref to keep having to. You know what I mean? Like we have no idea what they're telling them either, right? Like, try not to come to the monitor if you can help it, because it's going to slow everything down. Like, who knows what they're saying behind closed doors?
Like, I know you can't mic the referee up like they do in rugby all the time. But what I would love to have is when rugby speak to the VAR officials, so you can hear what the ref and the VAR are discussing, or even the ref and the fourth official, to be like, oh, I don't know what happened here. And I wanted that ever since the Zidane headbutt, the headbutt that we always say marks cart start of football, right? Pre or post headbutt. Because that wasn't seen by the referee and the fourth official called it. And that really perked my interest to be like, what has the fourth official said to the referee has happened? Because we could all see it. They had replays and stuff. And I want to know how the fourth official described it. But I still can't believe something like that hasn't been incorporated to just be like, let's hear the referees talking to each other. Because I can't imagine Lee Mason's going, fucking hell, fuck this, fuck that, fucking whatever. They're going to be quite polite to each other as referees, I imagine. Yeah. I mean, he might have been swearing quite a lot afterwards, but it's that's something I'd really like to see implemented. Just hear what the VAR is talking to the referee about.
There's a really good video of Jared Gillett. He's a Premier League official now, but
in the A-League.
He came from the A-League, and it was his last game, and they didn't do it live. They didn't like broadcast what he was talking, but when he was conversing with the VAR, then like something like that would be incredible. Like if you could hear that going on, like
definitely.
He's like, okay, we need you to come over and check this. He goes over and checks, and he's like, oh, okay, well, I've got to sell this. Like, I'm like, oh, there's like some like psychology going into it. Well, it was just fascinating. I wish that we could hear things like that.
Yeah,
because I think that would change the perception of VAR too.
Yeah, so I agree with Mordechai on his last point there. Like, auto offside, sensors on the ball and boots, like sensors in some way, whatever that looks like, using AI to do that. I'm okay with that. And I don't know, what the room for error would be, what are the chances the software would break down. There's all that comes into it then, doesn't there? Like, oh, the software didn't work during that incident. There was a glitch in the matrix. Do you know what I mean?
Something else I was going to say is, why hasn't, and I think Cart might have touched on it earlier, why hasn't the semi-automation that was used at the World Cup come into it? Because the World Cup, I thought, it looked really gimmicky with the 3D models, but it gave you an instant answer where you could clearly see someone's knee was in front of someone else, or someone's ass was in front of someone else, or something like that. And I was like, the Premier League should have seen that and gone, we've got so much money, we'll pay whoever came up with that system, just come and implement it over the pre-season, and we're
100%.
done.
Yep.
It's confusing why it hasn't been.
And whilst we're at it, let's implement their time-wasting stoppage time adding on, because that should also be a thing.
Yeah.
I think they did that as a scare tactic in those opening games. Because you didn't see it very much.
Didn't it?
It did. It's great. I mean,
but it went.
And that's what it's about, right?
To like 9,
setting the tone,
which is still a lot,
the tone,
right? It's still a lot. Like, it went from 14 minutes to 9 or 8, which is still a lot of extra time.
I remember in the NFL, I don't know if they still do that, but when there was a challenge or a review, they would go into this black tent, American sports, and the joke was always they're checking the Vegas lines. That was always the joke.
You're right.
So who knows what's happening with? Does Lee Mason have any betting history? I wonder.
We need more trend.
Oh, he's a
thing, right?
Maybe he's a Freemason.
Yeah, maybe. But like
anyone into Masonic shit?
So we need more transparency, is what we're saying. Like, in order for us as a group to feel more comfortable with the implementation of VAR, we want to know more what's going on. What are the conversations behind the scenes? What is like? It's too much us versus them. Still, it's too much of that going on. And I wish the refs would wear mics, and I wish they'd start booking people for dissent like they used to.
Yeah.
Because back when football, the tackles were violent as fuck back in the 80s, right? But people back chatted the ref way less, because you used to get a yellow card for dissent quite easily. That has gone out the window with today's sort of generation of players. So, you know, I'd like to see that come back in as well, because I think players surrounding the ref and all that needs to stop as well. Personally, it's just something else that drives me nuts. Whether it's my team or another team, like it's just not. I don't want to see it. You know,
it's part of the human element. You know, it's you see it on the fourth official, right? You know, Jose and Ferguson. Jose would always talk about, you know, using his power and prestige to, you know, to woo the ref, and that's all in his power. You know, it's like you see in the Leeds United match, Luke Shaw, you can kind of read his lips a little bit. He's going off on the ref, like constantly. Yeah, they're just constantly chirping. And I don't know. I think that's I don't know if that's part of the fun of sports, but I do think that there is an element that you know, it's a there is a bit of fun in that as an athlete, you know, kind of getting into almost like kind of like
what you
rowdy,
can get away with
aggression. You know, it's an aggressive outlet.
It's a passion.
You know? It's a passion. You know,
there's always that what can you get away with element to it, right?
Right.
Even the football I've played, right? Definitely not a high standard. I've been in a few finals like of amateur football, but even in my moments, I will lose my rag and I'll be like, ref, that's never a fucking foul. You fucking this, fucking that. But as soon as I finish, I'll go, sorry, ref. Didn't mean that.
Right.
Because it's passion. But then I realise I'm being a dickhead.
Yeah.
I'd have sent you off with the first effing and jeffing. I've just been like, early bar, mate.
Yeah. But I think refs give that bit of leeway, right, for a little bit of it. But if I came up to your face, Milo, and I went, you're a biased little beep, then send me off. Yeah. Because that's a personal attack.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the difference, right? And I feel like I agree with you, Milo. I don't want to see any of it. I think booking should be Bruno Fernandes should get booked every game for not shutting up to the referee, and I support Man United. So
I just, because if you took and forget that part of it as well, having the refs mic'd up and hearing what the ref is saying to the players, and it gives you another look at how the game is unfolding on the pitch. You know, not necessarily all the bad stuff, but there would be some good stuff to that.
Oh, they could market the hell out of that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. In
probably give us a bit more sympathy for the refs.
Yeah,
maybe
probably would
as well.
It would have to. I think if they did it, like if they edited it and like kind of put it together in like a video at the end of the season type of thing. Because I don't know. I think it'll be like, you know, explicit for children.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Like maybe like a pay-per-view or something. But like
kind of like this show.
Kind of a little bit, yeah. It's getting a little explicit today. It's all right. But they have, you know, those like big radars that you can point and like, you know, in the NFL they do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, they'll have like one player mic'd up for the day, you know, or whatever. Like.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's different, but they can also the parabolic mic.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they have some sort of thing, you know, that. I don't know. Surveillance.
What about if they did? You know what they could do, don't you? They could do an Amazon doc on the refs.
Oh,
I'd watch that.
That'd be good.
To bring people, you know what I mean? Like, so people can see how hard it is to be a referee.
It's got to be tough. It's got to be tough.
Fuck off.
It's got to be tough. Can you imagine? I mean, I just go to. I remember growing up in like U12s, U14s. Some of the parents on like chirping at the ref in the middle is just insanity, man. It's crazy. And imagine that with millions of millions on the line, you know. Speaking of AI and conspiracies, let's just kind of let's veer away from football just for a second. What's happening with all these UFOs? What's going on?
Straight into that.
Just real quick.
That's my specialty.
I think we need to talk about it. It's kind of
I fully expect. Obviously, we had the balloon, right? There was the Chinese spy balloon, and then there's been 3 other objects shot down. One in Alaska, one in Canada, one in Michigan, I think.
Right.
Michigan.
Yeah.
You know, and they're all saying that it's an object. That's all they'll say. Officially, it's an object. I'm sure we'll find out that it's something quite man-made or whatever, but it's just interesting that it's happening. And there are a lot of people within the UFO community that think that there'll be a lot of disclosure this year, but I don't know if it's anything to do with that. It's just
second coming of Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
The White House did a press briefing today about all this, and I watched most of it. And they talked about the China thing. It was like a 3-bus payload. He used the word payload, which is great. You know, three bus worth payload, and they shot it down over the ocean. And they were convinced that it was surveillance, but they didn't say what kind of surveillance. Apparently, it's meteorological. Anybody?
But that's a lie. But yeah,
meteorological.
Its flight path went right over where you lot keep a lot of your nukes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was over.
And then the other ones were apparently flying too low, close to commercial airline space.
Yeah. So they had one was 40,000 feet, one was 20,000 feet.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is when you hear, and I haven't heard it from the pilot's mouth. Now I've listened to. There are pilots out there that have come out and said they've seen things that defy physics. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I read a lot of books on this topic, guys. Just for those that don't know, I don't consider myself a UFO nut. These guys might consider me a UFO nut.
I don't want to say anything. But...
No, and that's fine. You know, you believe what you believe, right? You believe what you believe. I just think there are things unexplainable by the technology and physics that we have today. There are pilots of $35 million fighter planes that have seen things, and they are willing to come out and say, "I've seen this." You know, how can it be man-made? Like we couldn't make something that does that. So those people I listen to, right? The Lazar one is humorous. You know, you either believe it or you don't. That, you know what I mean? But when a pilot like Commander Fravor or Ryan Graves comes out and talks about it, I feel like you have to listen a little bit to what they're saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
they're credible. They're credible witnesses, right?
Yeah, I'm all for whatever comes out and whatever's happening. I'm just curious. Well, it's all fascinating. It's so out of my control, though. That's
rumors that the pilots for the one in Alaska said this object was hovering at 40,000 feet, where the wind speed would be about 150 miles an hour. So for it to be stationary, something is assisting it to be stationary, right? But no sign of propulsion, whatever, so who knows what it will be? Some kind of drone or whatever, I'm sure.
Element.
Maybe they'll tell us, maybe they won't. Who knows?
Anyways, nice quick little divergence there. Digression. Back to football. Other conspiracy theories that all the Manchester City fans are talking about is the investigation. Last week it had just dropped, I think, on Monday, about the whole allegations, the over 100 charges by the Premier League against Manchester City. Do you guys feel any different about it? A week later, I had a fun week personally of just ribbing all Manchester City fans anywhere in sight. I'll let them know if they're listening. I am gonna take it easy. I'm relaxing. I just wanted, I had,
ribbing or trolling. Would we?
There's a little bit of trolling, but also, within.
I had to fire the troll alert up at Car a couple of times this week.
I think it was Socrates. He said within every troll, there's a little bit of truth. I think Socrates said that.
I don't think he said that. Like
pretty
sure. The footballer or the philosopher.
I think they both quoted it.
Both. Yeah.
Both of them. All right.
In cahoots, they both quoted it. Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I'm gonna take it a little easier on that. By the way, just.
It's pretty ridiculous, that photo Hoff shared in the group where they've unveiled a banner celebrating their overly paid lawyer that they've employed.
Highest paid.
Panic.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Panic in the streets of London.
Yeah.
Can I? Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I think I hope this show is still going when we find out what Man City's punishment is, or if they're even guilty or things like that. But I think it could be that long. We don't know what's going to be going on in our lives in 2.5 years' time, 3 years' time. So, yeah, it's going to be It's gonna. Hopefully by then we've had a meetup show where we've all actually met each other face to face, like in a place. Makes sense for me to come to North America, so I'll take that hit already. But yeah, I mean, that's the problem with this, right? Is that it's everything I've read and everything I've looked at. It does look like there has been some sort of financial misplacement and cooking the books and stuff like that. But we're not gonna know for years. This is gonna go on and drag on and on and on. So
someone said the other day 4 to 5 years or something.
Yeah,
for there to even be any kind of recourse.
By which time Abu Dhabi may have just pulled out, right? They might just be like, sod Man City, can't be arsed with this. So sorry, Hoff.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say by that point in time they'll say, "Oh, we're outside the." I just lost my legal term.
Time bar or the jurisdiction?
Statute of limitations.
Like, so there is none on that.
Like the first time it happened.
So that's I did a little. You know the Swiss Ramble. You guys remember the Swiss Ramble on Twitter? Yeah. He doesn't do his threads on Twitter anymore. He has it on website, and he went into this one deep, and he talked a lot about because Man City's sponsors are owned by the owner, and it's not Man City isn't the only club that does that. Everton has that same situation. There's another club in England that has that same situation. I believe it was Chelsea. I can't remember exactly, but in Italy it's with 4 clubs that have that same situation. So that aspect of it is not as uncommon as you might think. Another thing he talked about is how much the owner's own money has been put into the club, and Man City's at the top of the list on that one. The owner, like the Glazers, have taken out like 140 million in the club, and the City's owners have put in, I think, close to 630 million, I think, into the club. And all of this is just personally, it's just I really need to learn more about how all of this works. Like, what are they allowed to spend on versus what? Yeah.
So that's what I've started to look into about the rules of actual FFP. And the rules that I can understand in very layman's terms is that you have to have a certain percent of your turnover going towards club costs, and then the owners are allowed to cover the rest of the club costs with their input of money up to a certain amount, which is something around like 15 or 12 million a year or season. Sorry. There's not a lot of money. The owners aren't allowed to put a lot of money in to cover the cost. That's the whole point. They want the clubs to be sustainable. And what's coming out from this now is that the Man City owners have been apparently hitting that limit every single season and then funneling more of their own money into the club through these sponsorship deals that don't make sense. Is what my reading's got me to so far. So I find it quite interesting to read about and understand more about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to. The Swiss Ramble was a good source. He does it really nicely with good graphics and stuff like that. One of the things he had in his was when almost every other club in England had a dip during the pandemic, and City was the only one who continued to grow during the pandemic, and that was a little alarming. Like, I mean, obviously we can't just say that's fraudulent, but I would be curious to know City's reasons for that. And to speak to HoffSpur's point, the Swiss Ramble guy brought this up as well, how, you know, before they were let off on a statute of limitations, and, you know, they'll be thinking now that this will be a time to kind of exonerate themselves from that, you know, that type of saying that, oh, we just got off on a technicality. Now they'll have all the freedom of time to show that they were actually innocent, etc. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. You know, I like to think they're frauds, you know, just because I'm a United fan, and that's what I'm gonna continue doing, because I realize that football is it's tribalistic, it's confrontational, it's aggressive, like we were talking about, like Bruno chirping, all you know, people getting aggressive on the pitch, and that's part of sport. You know, I think it's a healthy place for it, you know, to have that. You know, I even know some some Manchester City fans who are now saying that they were Barcelona fans before they were Manchester City fans. You know, this type of dialogue from the Manchester City fans is pretty great. I love to see that. But anyways, I don't know if you guys have anything else to add about the City situation. But the other talking point, I think, is the reemergence of the European Super League. Did you guys hear about this? A22, 60 to 80 teams, promotion and relegation, no permanent spots, players' well-being at the center of it. It's interesting because we were speaking a little bit about VAR in the past. 14-game minimum. It would replace the current Champions League. General thoughts about this one with the promotion, relegation, no permanent spots, etc., which was a big criticism of the European Super League the first time around.
It's odd that it's a competition that is going to run alongside normal league competitions. That's the only thing I can take away from it. I don't know how it would work. I don't think it'll happen. Yeah, I can't see it happening. However they try and form it, I can't see it happening yet.
I worry about forget everything else and the way I feel about the Super League. The first time round was just handled all wrong. I'm not opposed to them replacing the Champions League with a different format or a different competition, but I think like a privately funded and privately run league is just so open to corruption. Like, who's going to keep it in? Who's going to keep it in check? Like, who? The owners of the clubs? Come on, man. Like, we can't do that. Like, you just can't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens with that. I think it'd be pretty interesting. I mean, I think it's almost like VAR to some extent. It's like before, so many people were kind of against it and leave it alone, and then after the fact, we're like, oh, why didn't we have this forever? I feel like that will be a similar, could be a similar attitude towards this European Super League type of thing. It seems ridiculous or, you know, a little too ambitious or something, but once it happens, I think a lot of people will be like, oh, pretty good. And I streamed the other day, and one of the things I looked at was like clubs like Rangers and Celtic, right? They play, you know, we can talk about Rangers game as well, but they play like Kilmarnock, Hibernian. They'll play one game against Leverkusen in the group, you know, in the early group stages, and then you just don't see any other big teams or any teams. It would be more interesting to see them play Porto every couple weeks, especially if you're a Scottish football fan or a Rangers Celtic fan, or like, you know, you see them travel to, you know, Holland once, you know, a couple times a year. I don't know. I think obviously for Premier League clubs, it's not as big of a plus, lack of a better word, but I think for these smaller clubs like Sevilla, or maybe not Sevilla right now, but like Celta de Vigo or something, it's better for their club, their brand, and ultimately it'll bring back value to their league, which will in turn develop their, you know, bring more money into the league, you know, at the end of the day. But yeah, I don't think the big clubs need it, right? In England, I think the big clubs outside of England do need it, for the sake of their own leagues as well.
But then you've got the same argument of, okay, let's use the Celtic and Rangers example. They get invited into the Super League. What happens to Hibs, Kilmarnock, Motherwell? They're not going to get any money from it.
Well, I mean, it'll bring a little more quality to Celtic and Rangers. I don't know how else to think about it.
It just means they dominate their league even more.
It could also mean that they increase the TV revenue of their league, maybe, and that other clubs get a little boost from that. I don't know how the trickle down. I don't think it works, but that would be the idea behind it. It could kind of screw up smaller leagues at the cost of those smaller leagues' best teams getting better competition and getting more of a market share of what's already dwindling. I don't know. It's a tough one because it seems like there's an inevitability of all the money going to the Premier League. You know, all the money, all the players. You know, Barca, Madrid, Premier League, couple clubs in Italy. Italy is quite homegrown, right? A lot of Italians playing in Italy. You know, a lot of Balkan players go to as well, but you can see
they
how
have a lot of rules on that for that reason, though. I only
Right.
know this because of Football Manager, because of my Serie B side. The restrictions in place on Serie B teams, for example, are crazy, dude.
Okay.
Like, you have to use Italians. Those kind of rules should be way more commonplace amongst the other leagues. They like 100%. There's ways of doing it. There's ways of doing it without creating a European Super League. I think a lot of people. I'm not trying to say anyone's words for them, but like, for me, it's not going to close the gap between the haves and the have-nots. It's going to make it further than ever.
Yeah, it'll make it wider. Yeah,
and that's bad for football. And I mean, you know, I got a good friend back home. There's a Charlton Athletic season ticket holder. They've been in the Premier League. You know, they've been down, they've been up, they've been down, they've stayed down. You know, they want to know they got a chance, man. Like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's a tough one because can you see, for example, Real Madrid? Can you see them decreasing their popularity around the world? Letting go of their the hold they have on the football market anytime soon?
No.
I just can't see that. So to me, it's like that is. I know, like, you know, Cheltenham, or what say Charlton? Chesterfield?
Yeah.
Okay.
Charlton.
Charlton. For example, like they have it's already a tough situation for them, right? It's already looking like a tough job to, you know, build themselves up, get there. I don't think it's gonna get any less difficult if there's a Super League. I mean, if any, I guess that's a tough. Maybe a little more, but it's already that way. It's like, you know, to quote Pineapple Express, "Monkey's out of the bottle." You know, monkey is out of the bottle. You can't put Pandora back in the box. You just can't. Just can't.
It will happen. It will happen at some point.
You think so?
It needs a lot more discussion. Yeah, I think.
You mean the Super League?
Yeah, the Super League. Sorry, I think
the only way I
League
see
will
it,
happen at some point. But
the only way I see it happening is if an agreement is in place to filter down some of the billions of dollars or pounds that will come out of it to the rest of the football community, like within each domestic league, and it would have to be equally split and all the rest of it. That, like, it will be the most complicated deal of all time. But
we got to get Bernie Sanders over there, you know. They're talking, you know, the 1%ers.
It's all become right because of the financial spending of the Premier League. But I think I raised this last week as well, that if you look at where that money, I can't remember the fact, how much did they spend the Premier League in January this year? What was it, like?
Oh, like 800.
600 million?
600 million, 800 million.
Just Chelsea, 600. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, let's call it 600 million for the ease of talking. They spent the Premier League has spent 600 million in January. How much of that money has gone to other Premier League teams? Not very much of it. There weren't very many into Premier League transfers. That money has gone to other clubs to try, and then they should be then using that money to make them better, and to challenge and to invest in facilities and to invest in youth and that's the cycle of it. Now everyone's saying, let's make, for a want of a better word, let's make the Premier League less financially successful by sharing the wealth. Well, what's going to happen to all that money? It's then going to be spread around more leagues. Those Madrids, Barcelona, Sevilla, let's say, Rangers, Celtic are going to be spending money buying Championship players from England. They're going to be spending money to buy other La Liga players, Italian players. It will be spread out, but it won't be as much as the Premier League is investing in other European leagues at the moment.
No one in Madrid was complaining when the Galacticos were put together.
No one. Exactly.
No one. So I have zero sympathy for their viewpoint on how, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Like they did. No one batted an eyelid then, right?
No, it was great. Everyone loved it.
Everyone loved it.
Look at this. Look at this team they're putting together.
And now the fact of the matter is, the Premier League, like you guys said last week, they marketed it correctly. They marketed it to the right places. It's broadcast everywhere. It's making a ton of money through TV rights, and it's attracting owners who have a shit ton of money, whether it's good or bad, or whatever the case may be. They're bringing more money in, money, and money makes the bloody world go around. I hate that as much as the next person.
Yeah,
but it is unfortunately the way the world is, especially the business world.
The Premier League have done it so well that, again, Milo put it in our Discord chat that we have pre and post show, that 500 million EA Sports Football Club are going to pay for the Premier League rights.
That's right.
No, they've only just lost them, and now they want them back, and they're willing to pay $500 million.
And no other league in the world can do that, because they could have done if it had marketed itself properly. But I think the Premier League has that, rightly or wrongly, if that's how you want to say it. But I think Milo and I would probably say that everyone could beat everyone on their day. But in La Liga, for example, you would argue Barcelona and Real Madrid are going to win. One of those two will win the league, and Atletico Madrid will pop up every 5 or 6 years to win a league title. We're getting that way, don't get me wrong. Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea in a few years might be that sort of thing. But
it was Arsenal, United for a number of years too.
The competition is very different, I think, in the Premier League in terms of its marketability to watch it. That's what I think.
And a lot of that is the influx of foreign players.
100%.
So it's like it's a hard one for because there are many people. I wouldn't be against more homegrown rules. There are homegrown rules, but in England, they're not quite as strict, right? Like as they are, for example, in Italy, which you guys brought up. So, like if you made that stricter, it would affect the football on the pitch eventually down the line. I mean, we could talk about this all night and all week. There's so many angles to it, right?
That all comes down to labour laws, though, doesn't it? About what? That's why UEFA are now saying this thing with Chelsea's contracts, right? The 8-year contracts they've done. It's against UEFA law, but UEFA law doesn't report to British law. And British law is you can give someone as long a contract as you want, as long as you pay them. And now UEFA are trying to change it to say that our rule is going to be a footballing rule, which covers all FAs, and then they have to report to that before their country's laws. And I don't think that will come into effect again in the Premier League. Because how can you say that UEFA is bigger than a country for lawmaking? Right. And that's why Italy has that thing in Serie B, because they don't earn enough money, and you can't employ certain foreigners on a certain level of wage if your local representation of local nationals aren't getting a certain wage. So they just say, right, what we're going to do is cap it to how many people you can bring in that aren't Italian. And it's all bad down to national law of employment. Because I read up on it after your Parma save, Milo, because I was interested.
It's very interesting. I mean, it's made that save challenging in some ways. But because you want to go get a wonder kid from South America, well, guess what? You can't.
I mean, that's what makes the Premier League, though. You can have full Brazilian team basically,
and the players want to go. The players are happy to go where the money is. There's no loyalty in football, right? We've talked about that before as well. The players want to go where the money is, and right now, it's in the Premier League.
Yeah, and it would be like some sort of we'd have to do some sort of social communistic approach to football, to give what is it, equal equity or whatever, like it's just you can't do that now at this. And the best way to do it is to, the Premier League teams are going to take a hit if once the Super League gains more, once it becomes the Super League and then it becomes something more, Premier League teams are the ones that are going to take the biggest hit now. But
if it's a competition that you can qualify for, like the Champions League in some way, whatever that is, like I'm not opposed to it if it's replacing that. What I'm wholeheartedly against is disbanding or removing teams from their domestic league to compete in a standalone league. That to me is an absolute no-no, and I would, like, if Arsenal did that, I would be fucking furious with them to the point where I say I wouldn't watch. I probably would because I like football, but I would give it a lot of thought, man, because fuck, man, I grew up with it. Like, it's like a religion. where I come from. You know what I'm saying? Like is that it's that in the fabric of the country. No, you know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the fuss that the football community in England made when Wimbledon was moved to Milton Keynes as a whole football community for one franchise, like that's the first bit of franchising, and oh my word, back in the day it was absolutely horrendous. Like they couldn't believe it happened. It still went through, but I would say the MK Dons were one of the hated teams in England.
Yeah, that happened post 2000,
long
right?
Time. Yeah.
I think I remember listening.
But that's how much
I had podcasts before I had it.
Like,
Anyways, let's keep moving along.
Let's talk about Tottenham and Leicester.
Oh, see, I was gonna say something nice, but no, I was reading Twitter and you brought up Parma, and I saw this. I guess it's a stat. Fact: in 1995, Neil Warnock was the manager of Huddersfield, and Gianluigi Buffon played for Parma. And in 2023, Neil Warnock is the manager of Huddersfield, and Gianluigi Buffon is playing for Parma.
Yeah, I saw you retweet that. Yeah,
that is really cool.
Almost 30 years later.
Wow.
Well, let's just do a quick preview of this week. We got the Champions League coming back, Europa League coming back. We have one big match on Wednesday, I think, which is probably bigger than the Champions League matches. Arsenal, Manchester City. First league meeting, 11:30 my time in the. What do you think is going to happen, Milo? How important is this match now?
I don't think it's necessarily a must win, but I would say it's a must not lose. I think a point at minimum. We have 2 games in hand over the rest of the chasing pack, and this is one of them. So we have 1 game in hand over City, obviously after this as well. So that, factor that in and hope that the results start to come back in our favor. I mean, look, it's a big game. It is a big game. A win would be a massive statement. But I don't know. Would I take a draw? I would, because there's still loads of football to play, man, and there's so many tough games ahead for all teams. For every team, there's tough games coming.
It feels more important for Arsenal for some reason. It feels like Man City still aren't like playing at the best of their ability, maybe, and Arsenal kind of are. I think maybe, I don't know. I feel like I think it's a really important game for Arsenal. Really, really important.
It's obviously a very, very important game. It's first v second right now, so it's a massive game. I think we want to show. I said at the start of the season, right? That game is the one that I was keeping my eye on, and we were waiting for it to be rescheduled. And the reason is because we've not done well against them, since the Pep era has begun. So we want to show that we've closed that gap. And I think the results for the rest of the season have showed we've closed the gap, but we need to be able to perform on the day. We have performed on the day against other teams that we may have struggled against before. Will City be one of them? I honestly don't know. I would take a draw. A win would be great. I don't know. It's not the end of the world if we lose either. So we're in the mix.
Yeah, I would obviously, if you're an Arsenal fan, you would hope it's not the end of the world. But it feels like it would be like a pretty big hit, I think. And I don't know. I wonder if I think this whole Manchester City scandal thing has given Pep the emotional boost that he lacks normally. The kind of like his kind of like spineless, heartless football. In my opinion, this is exactly what he needs. Is he needs some sort of motivation, because I think he's a little soft. And this whole Manchester City thing, us against the world mentality, is exactly what he cannot create on his own, and it's almost like he needed this thing.
It can be galvanizing, yeah.
Galvanizing.
I think so.
Great point.
I think it's, don't forget, Arsenal's still a young team. They're still the youngest in the league, are they not? On average age.
Yeah.
I mean, the players that they've brought in have experience. Zinchenko, Jesus. We're going to miss Jesus this Wednesday. I think he would be a massive factor, not necessarily because of goals or assists or whatever, just his sheer presence on the pitch. His work rate is second to none, but that would also be an emotional factor for him and for City. Very often teams play very well against their former club, right? So I think we're going to miss Jesus. We could go and get a result. I think we've surprised a lot of people this year. And I see all the haters. I see the doubters in the chat, and that's fine. You can doubt what you want. This team's not going anywhere. If they don't win the title this year, they're still going to be in the mix. They're a young team. They should get better. So we're in a title race. That's all I can ask. And I know what you're saying. Like if you lose this one, it could be huge. I mean, it could, but also it could be a catalyst to say, right, now we've got to go win every other fucking game. Yeah, it's all how you look at it, right? It's how you look at it and how you respond mentally to any setback in life. Not just football. Like it's all about your mental response, and that might be good, and it might not be enough. I mean, who knows? But yeah, I mean it is a big game. Obviously, I'm not taking anything away, but it's a big game. I'd love to win it, but I think City are capable. I said this before Christmas. City are capable of. On their day, they could go and win every game from now to the end of the season. They could. They have that squad.
No, Haaland apparently. Haaland got injured.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that works in City's favor personally.
I think it does.
People have doubts about City this season. You guys have.
With Haaland, I have doubts about City because of Haaland.
They may go on to other games, not against Arsenal, like a Brentford, and not get the result that they need. You know what I mean? And that's
true.
The whole Premier League roundabout. Here we go again, right? It's the same conversation, and that's why at no point have I been like, oh guys, this is a done deal. Like there's so much tough football to play, man. I looked at the fixture list for all the teams, and I was thinking, man, away at Newcastle, away at Liverpool, I'm just looking at games and thinking, bloody hell, like there's some tough games coming up, man. Like there's nothing that you can take for granted. Like we are going to drop points, and I hope, like Socko said, winning the home game would be mega, right? You want to win that one to give you the leeway when you go to the Etihad or whatever it's called.
Empty head.
Sure. I almost said Main Road. So that's good.
Let's see. Yeah. Quickly, other matches. Obviously, Champions League, huge matches as well. AC Milan versus Tottenham. See Zlatan return. Big injury for Tottenham though. Rodrigo Bentancur out for a couple over half a year. Big. He I believe he scored on the weekend as well. Oh, all right.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a tough one. This is the first leg. Then we have Paris versus Bayern. I don't know if you guys saw the end of Paris's match versus Marseille. They were down 2-1, 94th of 95 minutes, and they're just tick-taka the ball around without even just no urgency to score a goal or anything. PSG are like 10th favorites to win, or no, 12th favorites to win the Champions League now, but
out of 16 clubs.
Yeah, they're low. They're very low to make the final. Bayern's number 1, so but Bayern big favorites here. Mbappe should be back. It'll be a good match, but it doesn't. I don't know. It's not looking good for PSG. Very good. Wednesday we have Club Brugge versus Benfica and Dortmund Chelsea. That might be a fun. But I'll be watching the Arsenal. I don't know. First legs. This is when the season really takes off. This is when it gets fun, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Especially when those second legs.
Yeah.
Anything else you guys want to talk about that we may have missed? Oh yeah, Thursday.
I mean,
right.
The rest of the Prem.
Yeah, the rest. I mean,
we
don't get to do a match review or
not necessarily the Tottenham match, Hoff. I do apologize, but like
big events.
Even United's game against Leeds, I was going to compliment United, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go on. I don't think I've said his name once this show. I don't think I've said his name once.
Get your counters ready.
That's the beeper for the Ten Hag reference.
Yeah, I mean, this guy he's just too good. He's just too good. He's making all other managers look so bad. Like
who?
Ten Hag. Okay, let's talk about this. Look, last week. Okay, I'm not gonna go into other managers, but look, Ten Hag. The way he speaks about things is just so perfect. No one does it. I don't think anyone does it as good as him.
Oh my god.
Pep is out of control. Arteta has a infatuation. He's got that Arsene Wenger young boy infatuation. Graham Potter seems like he's just there for a paycheck, at least for the rest of this season. Klopp, I get tired when I see Klopp give a press conference. I get physically tired. I see him, he looks so exhausted and tired. I don't know. It's just, and Ten Hag, when you see him, he's just like a steel panther. I don't know. He's just focused.
Man,
I'm just saying
the crush you have on Ten Hag is.
I'm glad we can't see your lower half. There'll be
this guy
tent down there.
My goodness.
This guy is fresh. He's invigorated. He's ready to win. He knows he has. He's at the best club that that's gonna invest. Give him the money, right? We're gonna get. If we wanted, what's his name? Not Caicedo. The guy Brighton. The Caicedo.
Yeah, Caicedo.
Yeah, if we wanted Caicedo, we would have got Caicedo. That type of confidence.
If Cart turns his camera around, guys, there is a definite shrine, probably a voodoo doll shaped like Ten Hag.
Yeah,
and
Cart rubs his bits.
Ten Hard.
Cart has a 10 hard on. I love that.
That is good.
I'm just saying, guys.
You really do, dude. It's
listen.
It's becoming cringy.
If you just watch a couple press conferences, you hear how he spoke about Rashford this weekend. Hear how he spoke about Garnacho. You guys would be convinced. Trust me. It's just you guys are looking at me like, oh, VAR is so weird. Well, no, it's the same thing. You're looking at me like, why does he like Ten Hag so much? Oh, I don't get it. But you'll get it soon enough. Trust me. You'll understand.
Talk this way about Ragnick. Socko's right.
Okay, so Ragnick is another situation. He is
you were milking him.
He literally turned the ship around. And then Ten Hag was his. He spoke about a manager like Ten Hag. He spoke about it. He said he outlined Ten Hag before Ten Hag came in. He literally outlined it in one of his press conferences, talking about how United needs a manager with a philosophy, blah blah blah. It's just very basic stuff. But now Ten Hag is the personification of that speech that Rangnick gave, and it's just insane, man. This guy's too good. It's just too good. It's too good.
Can we?
Anyways, that's
Cultured,
too much.
I'm going to talk to Cultured offline. Let's contact some people in England that we know. See if we can get like a life-size cardboard cutout of Ten Hag delivered to Cartwheel. Because
I was going to try to get that done.
I think he needs one like just behind him,
right over there.
Yeah.
Maybe with his arms around Cart.
Fathead. Have you guys heard of Fatheads?
They'll print anything in China. It's just next door. I'll get on it.
Yeah, get yourself a Fathead.
We have to do something.
All right, we got to keep moving now. But yeah, it was a good comeback. Rashford with the header. The Benny McCarthy
inflatable Ten Hag is on the way.
The Benny McCarthy. Who brought in Benny McCarthy? Answer me that. I won't say it. You guys say it. Someone say it.
Oh, the coach. Yeah. Ragnick.
Who brought him in?
Yeah. Ragnick.
Oh, did he?
I'm pretty sure Ragnick brought him in. Yeah.
I thought it was Ten Hag.
Got it.
I'm pretty sure it was Ten Hag. It was. And look at Rashford. He's. I don't know. It's just. I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know. It's just you got to see it to believe it.
You're excited and happy because your team's playing well. which is that's what happens to everybody when their team is playing well.
To be honest, I was quite unhappy with our performance for the first for quite a bit of time. I don't know, against Leeds we were
rubbish.
Our
Leeds,
midfield
I thought
midfield
Leeds
too is not great.
well.
Leeds is good. Leeds is good. Yeah.
I thought Leeds played very well. Garnacho really impressed me though. Like he's a really good find. He's a
I stand corrected, Car. It was Ten Hag that bought in Betty McCarthy.
There we go, Ten Hag. Yeah, I'm telling you. Anyways, sorry, Culture. Do you want to say anything about the Leeds games this week?
I thought the first game, let's don't have to talk too much about that. I think, well, out of that game, I will say I don't think Gnonto is going to be hanging around at Leeds very long. He looks class. I think he's got a bigger club ahead of him. The second game I thought was the first half was pretty rubbish. The second half came alive a little bit. Garnacho looked very good when he came on. We're just looking good, right? It's good to be a Man United fan at the moment, which is always nice.
No Casemiro, no Eriksen.
Yeah, I think we really miss both of those players, but I feel like against Leeds it was very obvious we missed Eriksen as a playmaker, moving the ball into more dangerous positions, because Bruno does it, but he does it so frequently he loses possession quite a lot, whereas I feel like Eriksen has a slight more awareness or turn of pace maybe on the ball, not as in sprinting, but as in ability to turn his body quicker than Bruno does to release the possession a bit quicker. So, but yeah, it's good to see that we're performing pretty well without Eriksen and Bruno. Sabitzer still settling in, so I think he'll come good the more games he plays, which is good. So
yeah,
you've got Leicester and Liverpool next, huh?
Yeah,
and Barca on Thursday.
Yeah.
No Lisandro Martinez, no Sabitzer. I mean, the team kind of picks itself. It'll be curious to see who starts at right back. I think it'll be Dalot. I have a feeling it'll be Dalot. There's no Dembele. If it was Dembele, I would think Wan-Bissaka would be the perfect guy to... it's going to be Malazi on the other side. It's going to be tough. Shaw, Varane at center back. It's not a little shaky. Shaw did not look great at center back. When he moved to left back, that's when he gave the assist, right?
Yeah.
What was the reason for playing him there? Resting or injury or what?
So Lisandro Martinez is going to be out for the first leg. So I think this weekend they did a test, kind of warmed Shaw up at center back because he's going to play center back, left-sided center back against place of Lisandro. And Harry Maguire looked horrible.
Yeah, he looked horrendous.
For the most part. Yeah. It was pretty...
He did a lot of good... Harry Maguire did a lot of good sweeping up, but his passing was horrendous. His judging of the ball, watching play, checking. One of the things I've always... it might have been the Swiss Ramble that did it on his page, where it was about him, how much Harry Maguire scans play, like around his shoulders, and it's something like 70% lower than the average centre-back in the Premier League. He does 70% less scanning around the pitch to see what's going on rather than just what's in front of him. And I'm like, that's absolutely horrendous.
Maybe he has unreal, peripheral vision.
But then he'd be a really good defender, though, wouldn't he? So
didn't you pay 70 million quid for him?
8 million.
Quite a bit.
80 million.
Quite a bit.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. He had a couple of shaky moments.
I would take half that money now to sell him. I'd sell him for 40 and just say it was an attempt and it went wrong.
Who's buying for 40 though?
Leicester. I think Leicester would buy him for half.
Really?
Price. Yeah, I think Leicester would take him.
They probably have a clause to buy him back cheaper anyway.
That would be a funny clause. Putting that in.
Yeah. It wouldn't surprise me. Guys, in Football Manager news, fucking Trossard is injured for 3 to 6 weeks.
Oh.
Yeah, but you were playing him at left back, weren't you?
Yeah, what was that?
It was a training injury. No, well, wing back. Don't you guys worry. I'm doing just fine, mate. I got a win and a draw.
No.
4th in the table after 2 games. So you lot need to worry about your own team.
Yeah, I lost it off. Unbelievable.
Right, we have our own separate table, right, for the 4 of us, like a mini table.
I mean, whoever finishes highest in the Prem shortly is the winner.
Madrid plays Elche tomorrow on Wednesday. Well,
you mean like a head-to-head half, don't you?
Yeah.
Villa Arsenal early kickoff Saturday. Newcastle Liverpool late kickoff. What else? Sunday is Leicester United, Spurs, West Ham. I don't know. Nothing much else to talk about. We could talk a little bit about the other leagues though, if you guys want to talk about.
It's gonna be tough for us now. You've said that, Cart. Like, I know you've pointed out when teams have rest and whatnot. Like we play City Wednesday and then straight into an early kickoff against Villa away on Saturday. Like,
why they don't do Friday kick?
Oh, you want us to play Wednesday and Friday?
No, I mean, for Champions League. All right, real quick in Spain, Barcelona beat Villarreal 1-0. Another 1-0 win.
Haven't they got like an obscene record right now, Barca?
They do. They're like undefeated and like they're doing well. They're in form. I haven't looked at the odds, but they got to be the favorites against. They're just top to bottom, just a little better, I think. Anyways, but yeah, they increased their lead at the top. Obviously, Madrid are the champions of the world. They beat Al Hilal, I believe. The Club World Cup. Yeah, Barcelona increased their lead at the top. Sevilla win, get a little breathing space off the bottom as well. Yeah, pretty much business as usual in Spain. Effort of time. Let's keep moving to. You want to go to Germany?
Sure.
Let's go to Germany. I'm gonna check what's happening over here real quick.
All right. So Bayern maintained their 1-point lead in the league. Thomas Muller scored bad back pass that gave him the 1-goal lead right before half against Bochum. Then Kingsley Coman scored to make it 2. Serge Gnabry got a pen, make it 3-0. Not really. Bayern weren't really tested at all. And you would expect them to beat Bochum anyway. Dortmund beat Bremen 2-0. Yuri Pavlenka, Bremen's goalkeeper, had some incredible saves. He really played a great game. 2-0 was a little harsh for his performance, but Dortmund has Jamie Bino Gittens, a young kid. I think he scored 3 goals this year, but he scored the opener 1 minute after coming on. So he's a super sub.
What's his name?
Julian Brandt. Jamie Bino Gittens.
Jesus. Bye. Okay. Kittens.
He was a Man City prospect, wasn't he?
I think he was. Yeah.
Reading to Man City to Dortmund, yeah.
Yep. And Julian Brandt had a nice finish to make it 2-0. Brandt has been playing really well lately also. Cologne, probably with this, I would say the most surprising result of the weekend. They beat Frankfurt 3-0. Frankfurt was unbeaten in their last 9 matches. And Cologne kind of came out of nowhere and beat Frankfurt. And I know I mentioned last week, Gladbach are like, you don't know what you're going to get with Gladbach. They lost 4-1 to Hertha Berlin. So there's another example of you don't know what you're going to get from Gladbach. And I'm just going to end the Bundesliga with my match of the week, Hoff's endorsed match of the week. RB Leipzig against Union Berlin. I watched the second half, and then I went back and watched the first half. But it was a great match. There, Benjamin Heinrichs scored an absolute belter of a goal in the 24th minute. Not a volley, just laced a shot in, really close to the left post, outside the box, about maybe 22 yards out. And then Leipzig went into the half 1-0. Second half, Yannick Haberer scored a beautiful volley to make it 1-1 for Union. And in the 72nd minute, there's a stat coming up. But Simicon for Leipzig handled the ball in the box, and Robin Kanaka converted the penalty to make it 2-1. And Union had missed before this penalty. They have missed 4 of their 5 penalties this season, which is baffling to me. It's kind of crazy that and they've only had 6 penalties now. And in the 78th minute, not a goal, Yusuf Poulsen actually scored, but Timo Werner was offside in the build-up. It actually deflected off of a Union defender. It fell to Werner, and he just kept playing. But they determined that the defender didn't possess the ball, so they called him offside, called the goal back. And Union keep their spot in second by 1 point. So the Union train is still chugging along.
Union, they play, who do they play in Europe? They play
they've got...
Just looking.
I forget now.
Is it Juventus? No, Juventus play no.
Union has Ajax.
Ajax, that's right, yes.
Yes.
Nice. A little Bundesliga wrap up for the Bundesliga. Oh yes, Memphis Depay won scored a 90th minute winner for Atletico. That's right. They're down to 10 men as well, I believe. Good to see Depay fitting in well there. Yeah, guys. Like I said, I'm underprepared for this week's show. So as punishment, I'm gonna eat this entire kiwi skin and all at the end of the show. Sorry, La Liga fans, etc. You know. Anyways, Milo, little Serie A roundup.
Serie A, yeah.
Anything going on over there?
Dominant win at home for Napoli, 3-0 over Cremonese. They have a 15-point lead now for the championship. The birthday boy, the Georgian Kvaratskhelia, made it 1-0 on his birthday. Do you know they only paid 10 million for him? By the way, unbelievable. How much are they going to sell him for? 100.
I saw the goal. I don't like those goals.
Look at the other 7 he scored or whatever it is.
No. This is just in general. I just don't like those goals. Yeah. Anyways,
Osherman with the second half tap in for 2. That's his 17th of the season. He's leading the scoring charts by quite some time. Then Elmas made it 3. Yes, a 15-point lead for Napoli. I can't see anyone catching them, honestly. Inter in second. They drew with Sampdoria today, so not good for them. Milan finally ended that 3-game losing streak with a 1-0 win against Torino. Oli G with a trademark headed finish. Wasn't a convincing win, to be honest, but they did get the job done. Lazio lost 2-0 at home to Atalanta. Atalanta have been really impressive all season long, to be honest. They did drop off a great Zappacosta goal for the lead. Beautiful curler from the edge of the box. Lazio had lots of chances in the second. Both keepers made big saves. It was a really entertaining game. Hoyland made it 2-0 on 68 minutes, and Atalanta actually went into third in the table. They are joint third, but it's on goal difference. Lecce 1, Roma 1. A late Dybala penalty to rescue a point for them. They remain joint fourth. And then Juve, a much-needed win for them as well, 1-0. In a close game, Rabiot with the lone goal gave them the points. They climbed to 9th in the table, and that's about it for Serie A this week.
Rabiot. Nice. Yeah, Champions League kicks off, though. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
I wonder, do you think there's any chance Napoli don't win Serie A? Gotta be.
No.
I think it's done. And I think it'll be... It's kind of sad that Maradona won't be around to see it.
Yeah. What are their other famous Neapolitanites?
There was, but obviously him dying recently and
right.
Their last title coming with him.
Like, I'm curious, like, are there... I can't really think of any, like, famous Napoli players.
All right, here we go. I'm going to get...
Oh, yeah, okay. I mean, I don't know. Maybe someone popped off.
Really popular with them.
Okay, yeah. Recent guys, yeah. Mertens.
Yeah.
Yes. What's his name? Bald Swiss guy. Long shot, defensive midfielder. Inler.
Oh, yeah, Gökhan Inler.
Leicester City is champion.
Zola started there, but he went on to Parma, obviously.
Oh, okay.
Daniel Fonseca as well.
Yeah. Should we transition into some Football Manager? I know we're a little late.
Yeah.
Time. Yeah. Okay.
You want a dad joke now or later?
Is there anything else we need to talk about? I can't remember. I'm all over the place today.
We can. I guess I wanted to talk about the Jakub Janko.
Oh yes, this.
But we can. I mean, we can talk about that during Football Manager.
No, we can talk about it now. He's come out openly, first openly gay footballer in Czech Republic, or is he one of the first? Period.
He's the first openly top playing.
Yeah, I'd say
top
he's
league
the
player.
Highest profile so far. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's good for him. Good for him. I don't know if there's anything beyond that.
I really liked. I read his statement and it was pretty good. I really liked what he's at Sparta Prague on loan right now from Getafe. I liked what Sparta Prague said. They said Jakub Janko spoke openly about his sexual orientation with the club's management, coach, and teammates some time ago. Everything else concerns his personal life. No further comments, no more questions. You have our support. Live your life, Jakub. Nothing else matters. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know how, especially, I'm generalizing. I shouldn't. I know a lot of Eastern European countries aren't as progressive. I'll put it that way. So it's kind of nice to see that from his club.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, okay, good. Manager didn't open. Yeah, let's do a. Hold on, I'm trying to think. Did I hear any good jokes this week? Did you guys hear anyone else hear any good jokes this week before we get the best joke of the week?
There's only one good joke everyone's waiting for.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh man, I heard a good one. I can't remember. Anyways, guys, thanks for joining. Guys, we're gonna play a little Football Manager Network Save. I'll be eating a kiwi in the post show as well. I don't know how this just seems weird. It sounds weirder and weirder each time. But
So
are you gonna do
we'll
this?
Do that.
Like, are we gonna do the do you want to do the kiwi eating after the next round of games? Like, when do you want to do this?
I'm just gonna start eating it as soon as we get in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll hear it. We'll hear.
I'm trying to think if there's any other news. Obviously, Turkey going crazy.
Yeah, it's man.
UFOs we talked about.
I can't even watch, man. Like it's sad, man, because I would love to watch and try and take in everything that's happening, but every time I flick, I see something about a baby being pulled from and I have 2 babies at home, and I just can't do it, man. And it makes me feel helpless, like absolutely helpless. You know?
Yeah, it's.
I don't know. You know, what can I do? I could donate some money. I don't know.
Ben Foster being brought to Tottenham, possibly. Liverpool found innocent of wrongdoing at the Champions League final. Sure. Cool. Go ahead, Hoff. Sorry. Go.
Oh, I was just gonna ask if they had, if there was a definitive report on Christian Atsu, because I had first saw that they found him, and then I saw maybe the next day or a day later they said, oh, actually we didn't find him. I didn't.
It was like a doppelganger or something, like maybe somebody.
Okay.
Like somebody.
Nothing yet. I don't think.
Read the room, Cart. Read the room.
Nice.
I'm kidding. Okay.
All right. All right, Milo, hit us with it.
You got it. During the World Cup in Qatar, the England team visited an orphanage, and it was heartbreaking to see their sad little faces with no hope, said Hakim, age 6.
Jesus. I'm not used to having a screen to escape to.
There you go.
It's not working.
Oh, poor Hakeem had to see that, man.
There we go. All right, I'm booting up.